Lori and I arrived in Jersey City within a few months of each other in 2013. And right from the start, what we were trying to do was to think of ways that we could reach out to the community, to connect our churches better to the community. And one of us, we don't know who, hit on the idea of Good Friday as a possibility. And our original thought was to begin at St. Paul's and make our way downtown to Grace Church. But then that evolved into focusing on one neighborhood where there had been lots of acts of violence, and to make each station a place where there had been an act of violence. And we reached out to the police department, and they were incredibly cooperative once we explained what it is that we wanted to do, and they were the ones who located the locations for us.
And originally we were thinking about it only in terms of the Episcopal Church in Jersey City. And as we had our conversation together, but also with the police in Jersey City, we realized that it made much more sense to invite all of the faith communities who are part of the Christian tradition, this being Good Friday, into the Stations of the Cross as they were held outside. And I think we were amazed at the response. There were 100 people?
I would say about 100 people.
Just about 100 people who joined us at each station, and each station was someplace where somebody had been shot. I was walking with a Roman Catholic clergy person for a little while during the stations, and he kept saying over and over again, we should be doing this all the time. And I think he was experiencing it as a way to go out into a neighborhood and to make holy again what had been profaned. And I had the experience doing the walk of thinking it seems like such a Victorian thing to talk about exorcisms. And I felt like what we were doing was having a public exorcism, where there were places places that were just understood to be not safe and places to avoid, and what the church, and not just the Episcopal Church, but all the churches in Jersey City, were saying that these are sacred, holy places.
On Sunday morning, January 12th, I got a text from Susie, our parish administrator, to say that our friend and neighbor and chair of the Boy Scout Troop Committee, David Bird, was missing. And Susie wanted to know if she could make flyers on our office equipment to get the word out that David was missing. And so we did that, and the flyers all went out. And the next day, David still was not found. So one of the neighbors called and asked if they could hold a prayer vigil here Monday evening for David, just to support him and support Nancy and the children and everybody who was so worried. So that was about 11 o'clock Monday morning, and at 7 o'clock Monday evening, about 200 people gathered to pray for David. We used the vigil candles that we use for Christmas and Easter Vigil. Several of the Boy Scouts did scripture readings. We sang some songs. The person who runs the rec office in town came with all of her equipment, her sound equipment, and a platform. Other community members put out luminaria and made signs and really helped to get the word out to everybody. And the community gathered, and it was I think a meaningful and important time. Of course, Nancy, you and your children did not come to that. You were staying home and hopefully waiting for some word.
Right.
Yeah. But the community pulled together in a way that was not just the church community, but scouts and school and the neighborhood, and really anybody in town who knew David or Nancy and wanted to come out and both lend their support, but also try to draw some strength for what was a very difficult situation. Nancy, what did that, when you heard that this was happening, what your friends had asked us to do. What was your response?
I just was so thankful. I mean, I was thankful that there was a place that everybody could gather, because I knew that there was a lot of people who were praying, who wanted to help do what they could. There had been, probably the same 200 people that were here at the vigil were also out searching for David.
Mm-hmm. To be able to offer that caring and support and to do something was really important for so many people.
One morning before the start of the school day, a mother and her son were walking their dog in a park adjacent to the Chatham Middle School. And there's a playground in that park, and when they got to the area of the playground, they discovered that a man had taken his own life there on the playground. So of course the police and the school district officials were alerted and advised all of the parents and school buses and children to avoid the area as they responded. Just about that time, I received a phone call from a parishioner whose children had played in that park and who had grown up in that park on that playground. And she was in tears, devastated, because that was where her children had learned how to navigate the monkey bars and to jump off the swings and to climb up and down the slide. And now tragedy and violence had come to that playground. So rather than avoid the area, as we were told, we decided to go to the area, to go to the playground. So I sent a hasty email to my clergy colleagues in town, told them to meet us in an hour at the playground for prayer, and people came. People from the neighborhood, mothers, both old and young, came and joined us. Clergy from multiple congregations came. A newspaper reporter came. And then, as coincidence would have it, the father-in-law of the man, the 26-year-old man who died there, joined us as well, wandered by and joined us. So we circled around and told stories about the times at the playground, about the children who had played there in the past, about the children who would play there in the future. And we heard a story about a father's grief and a daughter's despair and shock, and about the tragedy. So then we prayed, and we prayed for this individual to be welcomed into his Creator's arms. We prayed for all of those who were lost and desperate and lonely. We prayed for the children who had played there and would play there again sometime soon. And we prayed for the middle school children who were off in the distance. We could hear them outside on the blacktop as well. And then it was a very misty, rainy day. We added holy water. We added our own holy water to that situation, and we blessed all of the people who had gathered. We blessed all of the playground equipment and the space itself, and prayed for God's healing and hope and grace to return to that space.